Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Circle City. Hope you guys are having a good day. Today we're going to start doing our flooring in our tree growing section here. So we're going to end up doing this a little bit in segments just to make it easier on ourselves. And I already noticed like one little problem this morning, so I spent some time cleaning this up and moving my spruce trees just a little bit because I'd had these guys too close to this barrier up here and they were not growing. So I had to, smush around my spruce trees just a little bit. But that being said, it's time to get some blocks together so that we can start putting in our floor design for this area. Wrong chest. First thing, the last update has allowed us to create a brand new decoration, which is going to be dried leaves. So we're going to use some of those. We're not going to use like a whole ton, but they are pretty cool. So I got some leaves together, and I guess all that we have to do is just burn these guys. And that should give us some dried leaves to work with. So let me turn this guy on so I can double do this. And that should get that done real fast. Yep, there we are. So, leaf litter is what it is called. So I was calling it dried leaves, but it is a leaf litter. So, while that's cooking up, we are going to go get a little bit of terracotta. I honestly have no idea how many blocks this is going to take me to do, but I thought I would just start off small and then work my way up. So I don't think that I have any of this left. Oh, that's concrete. Actually, I might use some of that. So I'm going to bring that with me. I'm going to grab this brown terracotta, and I'm going to start off with like just 2 stacks of terracotta, and we're going to dye those brown. If I can remember where my closest crafting table is. Here we go. And we're going to grab some frog lights as well. Well, let me grab 2 stacks of that. For some reason I thought I had a lot more. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to use 2 stacks of these, but I'll just bring them just so we have them. And then we can get moving on our first step of completing our flooring over here. So first thing that we're going to do is just kind of create some little beds for our trees to grow on, because it would look pretty bad if our trees were just growing straight out of say tile, concrete, whatever. So we're going to give them a little bit of wiggle room up for themselves. So we're just going to leave a space of grass all the way around where they would be growing. And then in the corners, we're going to put our frog lights down. And then we're just going to fill everything in between with our brown terracotta. And I got enough leaf litter cooked up right now to start with. So on the corners where our frog lights are, we're going to cover them up with the leaf litter. So the leaf litter works by like quarter blocks. So you click on the block and it does, 1/4 of that block, and you can do it as little in it or as much as you would like. But I am going to cover the whole thing up because I just don't want our frog lights to look, so in your face. So that's the idea here. So the bad thing about it is that it takes 4 blocks of leaves for every one of these that you want to do. So that means that I'm probably going to at some point have to go ahead and collect more leaves to burn. So I am going to continue on putting our little tree beds around every single one of our trees, and then we'll come back for the next step. So I got all of the beds in around the trees. So everything for that is done except for I'm still waiting on leaves to cook so I can get all the rest of the leaf litter in around our lights. But I got pretty far, so I don't have that much further to go on that. But while I'm waiting on that, there's another thing that I wanted to do real quick, and that is to replace my growth limiters on my oak trees with glass instead of using this cobblestone. I'm just going to come through and take all this out and put glass here because that's going to look a lot nicer than just having cobble up here. Okay, so got all that replaced, so I'm happy with that. Now we don't have to worry about giant oaks growing in and making them difficult to cut down. So all that's pretty much left for us to do now is to just go ahead and start putting in the big floor plan. So I have been busy collecting a whole lot of blocks to put into this floor pattern. I'm not even sure if I have enough yet, but I really just want to get started on this and see how far I can get and see how much more we might need to complete it. So yeah, let me do that for now. I'm not even gonna have enough space to hold that right now. Ugh. Stuff's a mess. So we're just gonna use 4 different blocks to do this build with. And so we're gonna be using andesite and the sand. However many mushroom stems I have been able to collect. And last but not least, all the clay. So let's just set those down in our little collection area here for now so we know where they are. And I'll just grab a couple of stacks of each of them to start off with. And then we'll just start laying this down. So of course, first thing we have to do is just, get rid of the grass. So what I came up with is more of a simple sort of pattern that I pulled off of a pillow that I had seen. It's not exactly the same pattern and it's not exactly the same colors, but it's a pattern that I think is gonna work well for over here. I think I'm gonna start with our mushroom stems. So it's pretty much just gonna be like 2 blocks and then 2 blocks and then just repeat that all the way down. Oops. And of course I can't even do that right. So we'll see how this goes. So I just want to make sure that all of my tools are set to the ones that have silk touch on them. Because if I misplace a mushroom stem, I really don't want to end up having mushrooms. So just want to double check that real quick. So because that would be, less than desirable. So next to this one, we're just going to do andesite and then the mushroom stems. And then next to this one for the andesite, we're going to have the sand. And then we'll be going back to andesite. And that's pretty much all there is to it. It's just we're just going to keep going back and forth on this pattern. So next to the sand, there's always going to be andesite. So since we're on this row, then we're going to repeat this row. And then here we'll just go back to the line that we started with. So that's basically all it's going to be. And what I'm hoping is that as we come down and continue that basic pattern throughout, that even though it's not going to be lined up exactly like here in all of, our various lines that all have different distances between them, that the pattern will still align itself and make it, look interesting as you're wandering through. And I am sure to make many mistakes until I get into my groove. So I did go and see the Minecraft movie on opening weekend, and I have to say that was quite an experience. I had such a good time. When I went, I was actually debating about going on opening weekend because of all of the people. Like, I knew that place was going to be packed. I just had a feeling. And I had no idea what I was in store for. So I am so very glad that I went on opening weekend, because the enthusiasm and everybody shouting out the memes and clapping. Oh, it was such a delightful experience. Oh, man, I was just in such amazement and such awe at everybody being able to just come together and have such a good time. You know, all amongst strangers. I mean, even by the end of it, the guy that was sitting next to me was clapping and cheering and having a grand time. So it was, man, I'm so glad that I went and didn't wait until things had calmed down. The movie overall, I mean, I really liked it. I really, really did. I'm not saying it had, like, the best storyline, of course, or, I mean, but I'm kind of glad that they left the storyline kind of basic. Like, that doesn't really bother me so much. But I did really like the world design. I thought it was just excellent. Of course, there were, you know, some blocks that they didn't do that I might have liked to see. But, I mean, but that's just, you know, just like weird opinion on my part. I mean, for what they did, man, they did a lot. And it was, everything they did was just incredible. I really would like to go back at some point, probably, and watch it again, just to pay even closer attention to the background details and everything, because as I was watching the movie, I was trying to look, you know, past the actors and kind of check that stuff out, and I did, you know, notice some pretty cool things, like the way that they did the cartographer table, for instance, when they were in the village. I mean, I wanted to stare at that a lot longer than they gave me the opportunity to do, because it was pretty neat looking, the details and the way that they did it. I really, really liked that. Also, I mean, as far as like the mob designs, a lot of like the hostile creatures I didn't really care for, but I mean, but it's fine. I did the villagers were like absolutely perfect, and the iron golems, man, oh, I just wanted to stare at those for a while. They were really, that's not where I want that. They really did put quite a bit of extra detail on them to make them just look outstanding. So it begs the question, if I would have liked the movie as much without the crowd enthusiasm. I still do think that I would have liked this movie. I mean, it wouldn't have been quite as good, but I still think I would have liked it, because there was enough just one-liners and just interesting things happening that, you know, that I still really liked. I thought that they did a fantastic job. I'm kind of hoping they'll be able to make sequels. Maybe different characters, maybe a different storyline. I don't know. I don't know if that's really in the game. But if they do end up making sequels, I hope they don't just, you know, like rush it and make something, you know, kind of just thrown together to have a movie. I hate when people do that. It just like ruins everything. But anyway, I'm super duper glad that my crowdophobia didn't stop me from going and enjoying that movie with a great crowd of people. And on that note, it's been about a little bit more than a year since I realized how much my anxiety was like wrecking myself. And so at this point in time, I think I'm doing really good. I mean, I'm not, maybe not at the point yet that I would like to be. But for the most part, a lot of things I've been able to change about myself over this past year, which is just mostly the fact of putting some of my paranoid thoughts to rest. Mainly the thoughts of like everybody judging me all the time. I don't know where that came from. Ooh. Need more of that. Or when that really started. But those kind of thoughts, the thoughts of everybody around me like looking down on me or thinking that I'm not, you know, doing a good job or, you know, whatever, all that stuff is just, it's total lies, really. And I knew that before, but at some point I just allowed that to start taking control over me. So I have been able to put those thoughts aside, and I no longer feel like people are glancing sideways at me or thinking weird thoughts about me. And that's really nice, because that's a terrible way to go through life. It's just like anytime you're out in public or amongst people or whatever, thinking that everybody's thinking bad things about you. I mean, that's just not the way to go through life in any way, shape, or form. So I'm glad that I've gotten, you know, that part taken care of. The other big thing is just like keeping an eye on my body tension. It's like if I feel myself tensing up, that I take a minute to kind of try to relax a bit. Take myself out of what I am currently doing just for, you know, a couple seconds. And just trying to give my muscles a moment to relax. You know, sometimes stretching helps. You know, otherwise just like trying to let the tension drain off of me. You know, that works too. Sometimes it's kind of a struggle though, because sometimes it's like I recognize it, but I'm still like so caught up in it that I just can't get myself to relax, no matter what I do. But I think as time goes on, like that's going to get easier and easier for me to sort out. A lot of things that I've noticed just happen when I'm fatigued. So it's really important that I really start trying harder to get, you know, the amount of sleep that I need. Because a lot of times, I don't know why I do this, but a lot of times at night, I just kind of, when I get tired, instead of going to bed, I just kind of start messing with things. And before I know it, it's like an hour or two like past my bedtime, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I need to get to bed here and stop, you know, fiddling around with whatever this is that I'm fiddling around with. And so I really have got to start being more direct with myself on that matter. It's just like when I catch myself like doing that, just acknowledging the fact that by doing this I'm hurting myself, and so I can continue to hurt myself, or I can do what I am supposed to do right now, which is to, you know, stop messing around with everything, get ready and go to bed. And driving I am getting better at. I was able to take myself to my doctor appointment in that, you know, the place where I don't like going, that had like the 2 roundabouts in it and all that were really stressing me out. But, ooh, iron. But it, as stressful as it was for me to drive myself down there, you know, by myself, I really was happy that I was able to do that. And I think like the more of that I kind of do, the easier it'll get. So when I get in those situations where I have to drive somewhere that I don't really want to, or is it that is, you know, stressing me out to do so, I just really spend a lot of time talking to myself and calming myself down. It just, you know, the bits, It's gonna be okay. Everything's fine. Nothing is weird is going on. Everybody's driving normally. There's, you know, not bad weather, not, you know, whatever. Whatever I need to tell myself to get myself through it, that's what I do. And then riding with other people just this past weekend, my family and I went on a little trip to visit some other family members, and they live, it's probably about a 3.5 hour drive, I think, but somehow we always find a way to make it take like 5 hours. Usually because, you know, we have to stop at some point for, you know, bio breaks and maybe get some food or whatever. But last year when we went on this same trip, there was like a point in the ride where I literally had to just like cover my eyes with my hoodie for probably about 20 minutes or so because the traffic was just stressing me out that bad. This time I did really well. Like on the way there, there was some moments where I started feeling a little bit stressed, but I just kind of looked away for like a minute or something, like stared into my lap for like a minute or something. I was okay. On the way back, I had another little moment where my brother was driving and we got just into a spot where it was just kind of congested traffic. I mean, it wasn't anything dangerous or wasn't an accident or anything like that. It was just like a point in the freeway where traffic was kind of piling up. And that point I just kind of like, I don't know what I did. I like made a sound or something and I just said, I'm sorry, I have to close my eyes for a minute. You know, because my brother understands, you know, what I'm going through, and it's nice of him not to just like write it off. So like I closed my eyes for it was probably about 20 seconds or so. And then I was able to kind of calm myself down enough to open my eyes and look again, and my brother had like backed off from where he was. So when I had opened my eyes, there was like kind of no one around us, which was pretty nice. But I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm really glad that I didn't, you know, really start having a bad time. Like there was no hyperventilating or heavy breathing or, you know, it was okay. So I am really glad that even though I'm not, like I kind of was hoping that I'd be beyond everything at this point. Oh, darn it. There's still just some, you know, some minor little situations that I still have to be aware of and work on a little bit more, and then I'm sure that still as like time goes on that I'll be able to sort that stuff out, because generally the best way to get over things that you're afraid of is just by slowly subjecting yourself to those situations. And the more that you are in those situations, the easier they become for yourself to handle. Oh my gosh, my inventory. Ugh. What can I get rid of here? What do I have that I don't... Okay, I do not need this nor this. That can stack up a little bit more. Okay, I think I'll be okay for for a hot second here. Oh, goodness. Okay, so let's just take a quick look and see how it's going so far. Just kind of making sure that I kind of like what this is looking like. That I think it's gonna work for us. Because part of me was afraid that it might just be like a little bit too simplistic, a little bit too plain. Of course, like this stuff we're gonna have to come back in and redo at some other point. But yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking the color palette. I like that it's rather serene looking. Because at first I had tried to go with something a bit louder, and I was thinking more along the lines of warmer colors, and so I was trying to do stuff with like yellows and oranges, but they were just kind of too bright. I think it's going good, so I'm just gonna, keep trucking and get the rest of this in. Well, I have made a gross miscalculation about how much mushroom stem it is actually going to take to complete this plan. So basically the 15 or so stacks that we had of mushroom stem only got me completed about this far. And it is probably going to take me 10 to 20 hours of collecting more mushroom stems to actually complete everything. So I could keep going along with that, and I really don't have any problem with that. I just know it's going to take an incredibly long amount of time to do that. So I think I'm just going to try to put diorite down just to see like how much I hate that. Don't really think I'm gonna like this at all. I don't know. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not really. The clean look I was hoping for. Yeah. I don't think I could live with that. We could try pale oak, but I think pale oak has too much pink in it. I'm not going to strip it now, but this will just give us a basic, like, color coordination effect. Yeah, nah. Yeah, so I really think that I am just dead set on the mushroom stem. So this is going to take a long time to complete. And I'm okay with that because we have plenty of other stuff to work on in the meantime. And I honestly can't think of any other block that might look good to sub this out with. So yeah, so progress on this area is going to be a lot slower than I wanted it to be, but like I said, that's okay because we can work on this little by little as we progress in other areas in the city. So I guess it's a good time to wrap this episode up. So I just like to thank you guys for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys in the next episode. And here's to hoping that I get lots of time to harvest lots of mushrooms. Bye bye.